Hello. So another update video on the RX-7, other than the window strip RX-8 door thing that I just barely uploaded. So just want to talk about a couple things concerning reliability, drivability, and some things that I've done and some new parts that I got, including a new radiator that is yet to go in. So I've been daily driving this thing for a few months now, and it's overall been great. I mean, I've never been stranded in it yet. Knocks on wood. Good thing those are wood. but I did have some issues along the way. Some of the things were more major than not, but nothing concerning the engine. The engine is solid in this car. And before I get too far into this video, I want to talk about one thing that I found out about this car that was wrong, that I've been saying in all these videos so far. This is not a GSL SE engine. Now, the reason I thought it was a GSL SE engine is, well, because no other engines look like this when bare, like this FC engine over here. Pay attention to right here. This is a 86 to 88, I want to say. It's an S4 engine, that's all I know. Came from the junkyard. And this is a 70s rotary engine. It's still a 3mm 13B, so it should be just as reliable, if not more, than the GSL SE engine, which is fuel injected. This one is not, and doesn't come fuel injected. And what this engine actually is a 13B from a 76 to 78 RX-5 Cosmo. So it's a 4-port 13B, which I do believe is street ported. I reset the timing, and now it actually braps. Not like a bridgeport, but I have heard another 4-port 13B that was just street ported brap like hell. So that would explain the brapping on this engine, which I'll just start up in a minute, but just some other things I want to talk about. The clutch line. So, well, let's go over here. This is the slave cylinder that came out of the car. Yeah, I couldn't see where the leak was coming from. I knew there was a leak in the line somewhere, but I didn't know it was at the slave cylinder. It was right in there. It's all disgusting and shit. And it was all leaking all over the place. Well, not all over the place, I mean, the little rubber boot on the end of the slave cylinder was containing most of the fluid, but still. So what I did to fix that, there wasn't an issue with the master cylinder, but I replaced it anyway with a brand new one. It's a Doorman cast iron off of eBay. It was like 20 bucks or something like that. I did retain this line, the hard line. So this is still SA22c, same with this. And this is an FB stainless steel clutch hose. Now, I don't know if I mentioned it in any of my previous videos, but stainless steel clutch hose is what caused my last RX-7 to catch on fire the first time. Now, what caused it to do that, I to this day still have no idea. The only theory that anybody else, as well as myself, could come up with is that because the stainless steel clutch hose is stainless steel, it's metal, and the whole line is metal. It's metal contacting the transmission all the way through. The only theory that could be come up with is that the line grounded to the transmission somehow, and that's how it caught on fire. And in my last RX-7, it also it was touching the choke cable, so my choke cable got welded into the sleeve, and I no longer had a choke cable. But the workaround for that was just holding the gas for a little bit, and until the car was warm enough to idle freely. So it wasn't the end of the world there. It did fry a couple fuses because it was touching some electrical wires, but it didn't damage any of the wires past unusability. So new fuses, and that was a fix. But yeah, my last RX-7 caught on fire because of a hose like this. Now this one came from Mazda Tricks. It was 18 bucks, I think, shipped, or maybe like a couple bucks extra for shipping, something like that. And this is also and this is only for an FB. They don't make these for the SA22c. So this little adapter, I had to cut the end off of this to add this adapter. It's a it's a M1.0. The threads for the SA22c are M1.25 or something like that. Something like that, whatever. Anyway, I just went to O'Reilly's. They ordered this for me, and it was like $1 something. Less than $2, whatever, I don't care. And they let me use their little flare kit to put this on. I walked home, put this in, and I was able to go pick my daughter up from school. So yeah, that worked out perfectly. So I have a half SA, half FB clutch setup. So FB, SA, oh, FB2, SA, and SA. So yeah, also going back on the engine, because it's a 13B 4-port and street ported, and the fact that the housings are yellow, the irons are black, and I don't know if they did anything with the transmission, but it's yellow too, so whatever. There's a company called Rotary Reliability Racing, and they make something called a Killer B engine. Now what a Killer B engine is, it's an NA street ported 13B, and they usually come with a Weber carburetor setup, and they're usually good for about 200 to 230 horsepower. I don't know if that's crank or wheel, but I'm gonna guess more than likely crank. And for a car like this, that's way more than enough. I mean, that power figures like that would be why I'd want to rent-a swap one of these, which I still do, but I mean, these setups are a little bit more reliable, or actually a lot more reliable, yeah, whatever. But yeah, so, and it feels pretty damn quick for a first gen RX-7 compared to my last RX-7, so I have absolutely no complaints. And for a long time, or for most of the time that I've been dealing this thing, I've noticed a lot of vibration while I'm driving, and I didn't think too much of it. I mean, it was a concern, sure, but I thought it was like old transmission mounts or old mounts or something like that causing the shaking. No, my timing was off. I don't remember by how much, but it was off by quite a bit. And I do have a racing beat pulley that I didn't know until a few days ago when I reset the timing. But there's 4 little white lines that are over here somewhere. I can't see them right here. But there's a little needle that's right on the front cover too. I should turn my light on, but whatever, I don't care. And I just reset it to Racing Beat specs, pulled the distributor cap off, and just made sure it was in the right position. It was, and then I took it out for a spin, and it drove smoother than ever that I can remember. It's never driven smoother ever. So yeah, I love this car a little bit more now because of that. Also, let's see, there's something else. Oh yes, I rebuilt the carburetor. So after rebuilding the carburetor, I had a lot of issues. The biggest issue was the float levels. My stupid ass did not pay attention to where the floats were when I put them back in. I have what's left of the rebuild kit over here because I didn't use every little bit of it. I only replaced everything that I could see. If I could find those stupid little things. They went somewhere. I don't know where they went. Oh, there's one. Oh, there's both of them. Okay. So I replaced both of these. They look kind of dirty and old, so I just replaced them based off of that. And instead of going off of the instructions, I mean, I really need to follow instructions better. I mean, I'm in the Army, so yeah. The fact that I didn't do that, yeah. Good thing this isn't the Army. So I went based off of where I could see on the threads where this was exposed, and that was very stupid because my floats were pretty much sitting way at the fucking top of this when I pulled it back off. So I went off the instructions, reset them to where it says to put them, which is kind of in the middle, level with the top of this when you hold it upside down. And it seemed to start a lot easier. I still have a little bit of starting issues, but not as bad, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. But I reset that. I still had starting issues where I would put my foot on the clutch and then try to start it. It would just keep turning over but never fire up until I either pedaled the gas like a shit ton, or I just held the gas down until it actually sparked and started up. And then giant clouds of white smoke would come out the exhaust. That was all fuel, so no real worries there other than I flooded the engine. And after I reset the float levels, I still had the issues, but they didn't go complete. But it wasn't as bad as before. So they didn't go completely away, but it resolved a little bit. Well, yesterday I loosened these screws on both sides, and then I just lowered it probably, I want to say, one full face of the this little adjuster nut thing going down. And let's see, when I took it out for a test spin and started up, it started right up, and I think I tapped the gas pedal once and it was just fine. But I do still have some leaks. I'll point out where my leaks were on this carburetor. It does run a lot better though. I had a leak right here in the sight port plug. I pulled that off yesterday. No fluid, no fuel came out, but there was some debris around the hole and on the screw itself. So I cleaned that up, put it back in, and I haven't seen any other leaks from there. I believe the bladder in my diaphragm is possibly bad because it does leak. The leak shows up right here at the bottom of it. And then somewhere over here I do have a leak. I'm going to take a wild guess and say it's right in this area. Yeah, right in this area. Right where the little throttle cable connects to. And I will be driving it down to Provo or Utah County or somewhere down there. I haven't gotten his address yet. And one of my Facebook friends said he'd help me with it and help me figure it out and see if we can get rid of the leaks. Originally I did have leaks at the gasket, but I did put some blue gasket sealer on both sides of the gasket, on both the surface of the manifold and the base of the carburetor, and that seemed to resolve the leaks there. So yeah, leak here at the diaphragm and somewhere in this area. I want to guess it's right there. Yeah, the car still runs and drives perfectly, so still good. And let's see, what else did I do? Oh yes, so the car kept overheating. I don't know if I made a video on that or not, or mentioned it at all, but it was overheating, and I didn't know that until I replaced my gauge cluster, which is another thing I need to talk about too. So what I did is I bypassed it, and well, I'm not overheating anymore. I mean, the highest it gets is a little above half, but that's only if I'm driving for a really long time in fifth and going 4,000 RPM or more for 40 minutes or more. But that should be resolved with my new radiator, which I really need to get put in, but I need to flush my coolant system out so I don't put dirty coolant fluid or dirty coolant into this new radiator. Or I could just put it in and just put this fluid back in and let dirty fluid get in there, because I'll eventually get a courier added at some point in time for this car. But yeah, it's a 3-row aluminum radiator, 130 bucks off eBay, and whatever. Let's see. Oh yeah, that S4 alternator is still holding up very well. No issues with that at all. What else? So I bought this this gauge cluster off eBay for 25 bucks shipped. I got some other stuff like an ignition lock cylinder and door locks and trunk lock that came from the same car, so see, I'll get a single key made for all of those and put it in here. I'm not having as much issue with the lock ignition cylinder in this car that came in this car anymore. I don't know what fixed it, but it seems to have fixed itself. But I still want to replace it just because it could happen again. But this is a 130 mile an hour gauge cluster. This car came stock with an 80 mile an hour gauge cluster. And I do have an issue with it, but at least it's not, when I'm going 20 miles an hour, it doesn't say I'm going 60 or 70. Then when I go 30 miles an hour, it doesn't go all the way down to the highest point on the gauge and just keep bouncing all over the place, because that was really fucking annoying. But instead, this car thinks that I'm going 10 to 15 miles faster than I actually am. Also, I can't find the wire for the coolant, the low coolant light. So, alright, yeah, there's on the stock radiator, looks like it was blocked off. I'll actually just show you that real quick. Yeah, so there's no coolant level sensor in this radiator. Stock radiator, just with that blocked off, and I don't know where the wire is. So in both gauge clusters, that low coolant light has always been on, and it's been really annoying, so I just took it out and don't have a problem with it anymore. The clock works intermittently. It didn't really work that well in the last gauge cluster either, but I mean, I have my phone, so I could just look at that for the time. But for the few times that it did work, it was kind of cool. I was like, yay, I finally have a clock working, woohoo! And now it doesn't work, because that was like for a day. But yeah, I think all I need to fix the gauge speedometer cluster, not cluster, the gauge speedometer. Yeah, I get my words all mixed up. Speedometer gauge, that's what it's called. Don't judge me for that. All I need to do to fix that is get a drive gear for the transmission that's 130 miles an hour. I believe that this has a stock diff, but the engine and transmission are both from RX-5 Cosmo. So, you know, maybe an FB drive gear will work. Maybe a SA that came stock with a 130 mile an hour drive gear will work too. I don't know. I'll have to find out, because I don't know the sizes of them and whatever. But I do know that 10 to 15 miles an hour faster than I'm actually going is what it'll show on this speedometer. What else? Oh, yeah. I do also have a, well, not new, but new to the car, front sway bar. You need to install that because it's a lot thicker than the one that's in here. And that should be interesting to see how it handles after installing it. Let's see. I believe that about covers it for everything on this car. As far as, from my point of view, this car is very reliable. I haven't been stranded in it at all. Sure, it's had its issues, but it's a 36-year-old car that I bought for $1,000 at a junkyard. So honestly, I have absolutely zero complaints whatsoever. Also, another thing to mention is that my reverse lights still don't work. I really haven't been trying to track down the cause of the issue for that. Probably just not connected to the transmission, but honestly, I don't care. It's not illegal, well, as far as I know, to drive without reverse lights. Just have to be cautious when I back up. But turn signals all work. Brake lights work. Oh, and something that's kind of funny, but I'll see if it'll do it. Oh, it's not doing it. So when the car is running, I think the car thinks that this blinker light is out. So I thought it was the unit for a sec. So what it'll do is it'll blink really fast right here when I'm turning, or if I turn my hazards on, these lights will blink unevenly. So I think it's kind of cool. I mean, it's kind of annoying at times, but I mean the light works, so I don't really have any complaints. But right now it's not even on, so that's kind of weird. Probably just add a resistor to it and it'll fix it, but anyway, that's my update status video thing on this car, and still being driven. It's my daily driver, and I have no complaints about it. Even though I have stuff to complain about, where I got it from, how much I got it for, I don't have any room to complain about it. So probably next week sometime I might upload something else on this after I get all these issues figured out with the carburetor. But until then, I will see you next time. Alright, see ya.